is Real Life with Susan Harf, our very favorite life coach. Hi everyone, I'm Rose Martin. Thanks so much for joining us for tools and strategies from Susan about how we can go on this journey, this crazy journey of life, and get the very best out of it and make the very best decisions. Like you, I can't wait to hear what's on her mind today. Hi, Susan.
Hello, Rose, and I'm happy to see you also, and you. So what I'm thinking about today is turkey. I'm thinking about Thanksgiving.
Oh, I love Thanksgiving.
Me too. And one of the things I'm thinking about is getting along with all the relatives.
Because you know we were separated last year, so it's going to be really tricky for some people to have people in their houses too that we haven't seen for so long.
That's right. And providing everybody is healthy, and that's what we want, people are going to be together. And clients are talking to me about already getting worried about being with everybody. And the notion is, how are we all going to get along? So here is something that some people will find absolutely startling. You want to know what it is?
Yes.
Believe it or not, you don't gotta say everything that's on your mind. Now,
I'm going to laugh at this because I'm going through my own family and I'm thinking, well, we don't have to respond. You don't have to say it. You don't have to get triggered. So, okay, I'm with you.
And I'm going to go so far as to tell you that sometimes people have said that to me. They said, we won't say who said it, but they said, Mom,
right.
You don't have to say everything you think. And you know what? It's true.
Yeah.
So one of the things that impedes the getting along process is somebody says something that we think is dumb, weird, we don't agree, whatever, fill in the blank, and we feel like we have to respond. And we don't. Sometimes it's okay to just let the conversation go along without your participation.
You know, I'm thinking that sometimes that might diffuse a few of the instigators in the family who are just looking for something that either you can argue about or you can debate about. And if you don't give that any fuel or air, it just kind of falls by the wayside.
That's right. It absolutely does. Because some people love to argue. And they will utilize any topic, any situation, any relative, any event, any holiday to do so. And they think it's funny. They think it's amusing. They think it's fodder for their own amusement. But in fact, others want to keep the peace and are the opposite. They don't want to touch any topic that might in some way incite the other people at the table. And so you have all these different factions. You have people who want to keep the peace, who only want to talk about how they made their cornbread.
Right.
And then you have people who say, what about the election? And so we want to somehow have a happy medium. And we start by saying, you don't have to respond to everything. So I want to talk about some ways to not respond. Okay. So somebody says something that you find in some way offensive. Think of something that somebody could say to you or me that might be offensive.
Let's think. So something someone could say that was offensive. Well, first thing that comes up is religion and politics. Generally in the same family, you're going to be probably similar religion. So, but politics is a free-for-all. So it could be, I can't believe X and X about a certain candidate, or I can't believe, making it personal, that you did that, you know, that you believe that. Do you really still think that? Or, and then you become like bristly, like you feel like you have to defend your position.
Sure. And herein lies the responsibility of the host. The person who is hosting Thanksgiving this year has the right to say to that instigator, we're not going to talk about that today. Period. End of statement. You have the right to set the rules for your home. So if you're hosting and you don't want, and you know that there could be all kinds of conflict that ensues from that one little question, you mean you really think that, because the person's trying to egg the other one on. Even if you're not involved in that conversation with those two people, you as the host have the right to say, we're not going to talk about that.
I put myself now with, I'm not hosting, but I put myself with my mom at her house, and we're all going to get together this year. And my mom would be like, let's just let that go. You know, don't get involved. Let's not make things worse. Let's just all be happy today. Yeah. So it'd be me thinking I need to jump in and say, let's not go there. You know, let's not go there. Let's all have a peaceful time.
Yeah. So one way is to not go there yourself. Another way to deal with that person is to elicit the host, and I'm giving the host permission right now, so you have permission automatically because I gave it to you. You say as the host, we're not going to go there. We're not going to talk about that during this meal. Today is Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about what we're thankful for. We're not going to discuss politics or whatever the topic is. Here's another thing that you can use. You can use humor, and I'm going to give you an example of that. I love this story because I really think it hits home. My friend, actually she was one of my mentors, was riding in the car with her mother and father going to a family event. And her mother liked to incite a little trouble. She also was not of the opinion that she should ever hold her truths to herself. So, as I started this segment by saying you don't always have to speak your truth. You don't have to say what you think all the time. Well, this mother always believed that she did have to say what she thought at all times. So here they are, they're in the car. So my mentor, who's an adult, and her husband were there with her mother and father. And they're in the car and they're driving along and they're going to a family wedding. And the mother says to my friend, what'd you bring to wear to the wedding? And my friend said, oh, I brought my pink suit. And the mother, who does not subscribe to the theory of zip it up, says to her, you brought what? And she said, I brought my pink suit. And she said, you're kidding me. She said, no, what's wrong, Mom? And she said, well, the last time you wore that pink suit, you looked like a cow. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? And my mentor is very angry, and she wants to say to her, how dare you? How dare you say that? And instead, she said, Mom, yes, I brought the pink suit. And you know what? It didn't occur to me that I looked like a cow in that pink suit. And the mother said, well, it should have. And she said, so she kept going. And she said, you know what? I am so glad you told me. I didn't know that I looked horrible. And here's what we're going to do. Dad, stop the car right now. Turn this car around. We are going back. And they were about 100 miles outside of where they were from. And she said, turn this car around now. We are going back. I don't want to wear that suit. I should have never done it. In fact, I should have called you, Mother, and asked you, what should I wear? Now, meanwhile, she's a grown woman in her 40s. The mother was in her 70s. She knows, as a 40-something-year-old woman, she knows what to wear. She knows what looks good on her and what doesn't. She knows what she wants to wear. And the mother is now trying to usurp her power and be in charge of the adult daughter. So instead of getting angry, and of course she was steaming, but instead of saying, you don't have to say everything that's on your mind, instead she said, turn the car around. Yep. You're absolutely right. I don't want to wear it. And you know what the mother said? You know, hang on a second. I don't think, oh, it was that pink suit. I've got it wrong. That's not what I meant to say. I thought that you were wearing something else. So you know what? It changed the dynamic between the mother and the daughter. It was brilliant. So that's something else. So in other words, when Uncle so-and-so is sitting at your dinner table, your Thanksgiving table, and spouting off his political views, you could say something like, I had no idea I was a moron. I didn't know that I shouldn't have my point of view. And leave it at that. So yes, humor is something else that you can use.
I'm thinking about food too. Someone makes a comment on whatever dish it might be. Say, well, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. No one's going to eat right now. Give me a chance to make something new. Can you go to the grocery store for me, right? And we'll just put this off for 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
That's great.
So that's something too. Now, another thing that people choose to argue over is the food. They say, oh, well, I can't eat that, it has dairy. I can't eat that, that's too much sugar. Why did you make so many pies? Why did you buy the pies? Why didn't you make them? All kinds of comments. And again, people have the right to have their opinion. It does not mean that you need to challenge them on that opinion. And even if they say something that is sort of not being a gracious guest. So what if they say, you bought the pies? Can't you make a pecan pie once a year? You can say, you know what? It probably isn't as good as yours, so you don't have to eat it.
Yeah.
Don't feel obligated. I made more.
Right.
I made other pies too. You don't need to joust with people just because they want to joust. And you don't need to say, conversely, you don't need to say, why didn't you make the pies? You don't need to say everything that's on your mind. You can easily zip it up, let people talk, engage in conversations you want to be in. Don't engage when you believe that it's going to create conflict at the Thanksgiving table. And be somebody who is, on that day, a leader in family togetherness instead of a leader in family rivalry and conflict.
I like that. You know, one of the earlier shows you told us to set the intention or set your day with how you were going to go into any given situation. So maybe that's the tip for the morning too, right? To set it.
I think so. I think so. You know, decide how you want to behave. Decide that you want to get along with people. You can make the decision, I am going to get along with everyone at my Thanksgiving table today. You know, the exciting part of this is you don't have to go home with them, and you don't have to love them. No one says that everyone in your family is someone that you have to be madly in love with. You do have to tolerate them if they are at your table. You have to tolerate them for that day. But you don't have to tolerate them every day, all day, for the rest of the year. And you don't have to be madly in love with everybody at your table. All you need to do is to be able to tolerate them so that you set the good example for having a wonderful time. And you yourself want to have a wonderful time, especially if you're the host,
right.
Or even if you're someone who came and brought one thing. You're there because you want to have an enjoyable time. You're not there because you want to be reminded of all of the possible arguments that have happened in the past, or there are people at the table who not so much. You wouldn't necessarily, want to be with them every weekend, for instance.
And a little kindness can go a long way, and it is Thanksgiving. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. It is Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Oh, so thank you so much to Susan Harf, our favorite life coach, for sharing some strategies about how we can have a really happy Thanksgiving by getting along with everybody there and by showing that we really are grateful because we have that choice. If you'd like to reach out and connect with Susan, her address is reallife@blueridgepbs.org. Send her a note, ask her a question, and she'll be available to us, to all of us, as we're on this journey to get Susan's advice for how we can live our very, very best life. Go out there and be kind and have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you, Susan.